All right, stand by, political panel. We want to bring in our CBS News chief legal correspondent, Jan Crawford, who reported that Neil Gorsuch was the front runner as many as about 10 days or so ago. Jan, you were the first to report that he was in contention and the front runner. Tell us a little bit more about the qualities that pushed him to this finalist position.
Well, I think when the White House and the Trump, the team that was advising Trump, were looking at nominees, they really believed that this was someone that had to be great academically, intellectually, because remember, they are replacing a conservative legal giant, Justice Antonin Scalia. And so Gorsuch, Judge Gorsuch, is someone with just the most elite academic credentials, Harvard, Oxford, with a doctorate in philosophy. And then he established a very impressive academic record and judicial record, serving on the bench, working as a lawyer in D.C. All of that took him quite a long way. He clerked on the Supreme Court, for example, with Justice Kennedy, who thinks very highly of him. His federal appeals court judge that he clerked for, David Santel, also has called him one of the best clerks, if not the best law clerk that he has ever had. So this is a nominee who really has qualifications that cannot be questioned. And so if you looked at this nominee and that resume and those kind of feedback, that is someone that would seem worthy to replace Justice Scalia. But he also shares Justice Scalia's conservative judicial philosophy, and that you have seen now in his opinions on the federal appeals court. He's strongly protective as well of religious liberty. So this is a pick that conservatives, I think, will be very happy with. I mean, this is someone that they will see as the worthy successor to Justice Scalia.
And Jan, I'm curious, you had also reported a few days ago that, in fact, among the frontrunners, in addition to Judge Gorsuch, was also Judge Thomas Hardiman. And as you put it so eloquently, you said if you have blue blood in Neil Gorsuch, you have blue collar in Judge Hardiman. What happens now with some possibility that a justice may retire? What now happens? There is a short list, obviously, and he was not chosen this time, but could he potentially be in contention for the next pick if there is one?
Absolutely, and the White House approached this entire process thinking they were looking at two nominations because Justice Anthony Kennedy is widely expected to retire this summer or next summer, giving President Trump a second nomination. So as they were developing this list, and remember, they started with a list of 21. They narrowed down to 5, and then they narrowed it down to 3 who actually met with the president. That is what they were thinking about the next pick. But in life, and certainly in Washington with the Supreme Court, nothing is guaranteed. I would not expect Judge Hardiman to be the front runner for that seat to replace Justice Kennedy. But yes, he'll be in consideration, and the White House very much approached the whole process with that in mind.
And Jan, what do we know about what happens now for Judge Gorsuch in terms of navigating the halls there, the very complex political backdrop that this nomination comes at a time when, as you well know, it's been a highly politically charged environment given President Trump's executive order regarding the travel ban. Do we have a sense of how the White House plans to proceed with this nomination?
Yes, I mean, they're going to present Judge Gorsuch as the nominee of the highest qualifications, whose record cannot be questioned. And they're going to say that elections have consequences. And yes, Senator McConnell refused to confirm President Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland. But that groundwork was actually laid by the vice president himself back in 1992 when it was Senator Biden saying Democrats would refuse to confirm any Republican nominee in an election year. It is like Hatfield's and McCoy's up here. And if Democrats, many people, Republicans, believe that if the roles had been reversed, that Democrats would be doing exactly the same thing. But that is making the fight even more bitter. And you're going to see starting in the morning that this will be a battle that Washington, I think, hasn't seen in a long time.
All right, Jan Crawford for us. Jan, thank you so much. Let's turn to our Steve Giguera, senior political editor at CBS News. So, Steve, we've been talking about just how pitched a political fight this will be. Remind us again of what exactly the dynamic may be here. We've been hearing from both Emily and from Liz. We heard from Jan some context of how it is that this pick is being viewed by various groups on the ideological spectrum?
Well, I think you're seeing the battle lines being drawn already. If you listen to Republicans, they're calling Gorsuch outstanding, brilliant, an exceptional jurist, phenomenal. Those are just some of the words we've heard. We've seen just a statement just out now from Senator John McCain, one of Trump's bigger critics in the Republican Party, who says that he's pleased with the pick. And then on the Democratic side, they're really focusing on a couple of things. One, they're calling him, the DNC called him a right-wing ideologue. And then they're focusing on the idea that he is basically a tool of big business. And some of his decisions have been really pro-corporation and pro-big business. And so those are the lines I think you're going to see drawn. Republicans are going to say they're going to hold up the 2006 vote of Gorsuch to be a Court of Appeals judge by saying it was unanimous. Not one Democrat stood up against that nomination in 2006, and so he should be treated the same way, or maybe not the same way, but at least with less resistance because of that. I think as we are already seeing, there definitely will be resistance from the Democratic side on this.
We've been seeing a range of reactions here, but one thing I just want to note, our Jody Cantor, who is a CBS News contributor, also a New York Times reporter, has noted that Neil Gorsuch and Barack Obama were actually classmates in the same Harvard law school class, graduating in 1991. I'm reading her Twitter feed right now, and someone has raised the question, how did the same legal education produce such different legal minds? Fascinating to think about that. But as we continue to cover this reaction to this pick, let me turn to Liz. What is it that you're hearing? Obviously, this is a huge day for conservatives. Are you hearing anything from conservatives, Republicans, about what their reaction is to this pick?
Yeah, I mean, on Twitter, you're trolling Twitter at the same time we all are to see everyone's reaction here. And I think the common consensus, I'm going to go back to even the Never Trumper coalition of the Republican Party. They're saying this is the night that they're going to sleep easy. Not after the election. They didn't know exactly what President Trump would do once he got in office, but he promised them. He promised them that he would build a coalition within the Republican Party. He promised them he would protect the Constitution as it was intended. He promised he would appoint a justice to the Supreme Court that would follow in the footsteps of Antonin Scalia, and he's done it. The fight now goes to the Senate, but he's done it. He fulfilled one of his promises. I mean, I agree with some of them on Twitter, actually. I think this is one of the biggest days, in the past 10 days, since President Trump has been inaugurated, because he is building a coalition within the Republican Party. If he keeps this up in 4 years, it's not going to be split factions within the GOP. It's going to be everybody behind him.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation in just a moment. Right now, a quick break. There again, the scene at the Supreme Court this hour. Stay with us. You're watching Red and Blue.